I'm 63 years old, and I've been managing type 2 diabetes for more than 10 years now. You name it, I probably tried it. Diets, walks, pills, teas that promise miracles. Some made a little difference. Most didn't. And turmeric? To me, it was just that yellow spice you toss into rice or curry once in a while. Never really gave it a second thought. But a couple of weeks ago, out of sheer curiosity, I started adding a small spoonful of turmeric to my morning oatmeal. That's it. No big change, no new routine. Just a tiny daily habit. At first, I didn't expect anything. But then something started to shift. Subtle at first, but hard to ignore. The first sign was my blood sugar. I checked it like I always do before breakfast, and the number looked lower than usual. I figured it was a fluke. But the next day, it dropped again. And the day after that, same thing. I hadn't changed my meds, didn't start jogging marathons. I'm still just walking the same neighborhood loop. But suddenly, my numbers were better. Then other things started happening too. I felt a little more awake in the morning. My knees didn't complain as much going up the stairs. That's when I realized maybe this little golden powder was doing more than I thought. Number 7, light weight loss or belly reduction. I didn't start using turmeric to lose weight. Honestly, I just wanted to feel a little better in the mornings. But about 10 days in, something caught my attention. My pants, the ones I usually leave unbuttoned after dinner, started to feel looser. At first, I thought it was a fluke. Maybe they stretched in the wash. But then I realized my belly wasn't as tight or uncomfortable after meals. That heavy, bloated feeling that used to sit in my gut every night, it just wasn't there anymore. I felt lighter, not just mentally, but physically. And when I stepped on the scale, down 2 pounds. Not much, sure, but I hadn't done anything different. That's what surprised me the most. You know how it is at our age. Losing belly fat feels like trying to push a rock uphill. You eat a little less, walk a little more, and the scale doesn't budge. That's why I didn't expect anything. But turmeric seemed to help in a quiet way. I didn't lose 10 pounds overnight, but my shirt sat better on my belly. I could bend down to tie my shoes without holding my breath. Even sitting on the couch after dinner felt different, like I wasn't carrying a brick in my stomach. My wife noticed too. She said, "Hey, your belly's not poking out like it used to." I hadn't told her I was taking turmeric yet. I think what changed was the way my body was reacting to food. Before, I used to feel swollen after eating, like my stomach was mad at me for having dinner. But with turmeric, that pressure eased up. I didn't wake up in the middle of the night feeling tight or uncomfortable. Just that little shift made a difference. I moved better, got out of bed with less effort. Even walking to the mailbox didn't leave me puffing. And let me be honest, those little wins matter. At 63, I'll take any victory I can get, no matter how small. And the best part? I didn't have to overhaul my life. I still enjoy my meals. I still have my piece of toast in the morning. But turmeric seemed to calm something in my body. Maybe it helped me digest things better, or maybe it made me less inflamed. I don't know for sure. What I do know is that my clothes feel better, my belly feels lighter, and I'm not constantly adjusting my waistband. It's like someone turned the volume down on that bloated, stiff feeling that used to follow me around all day. Now, every time I pull on those jeans, the ones I used to avoid after big meals, I smile. They button up without a struggle. I feel like myself again, not younger maybe, but more comfortable in my own skin. And that's a powerful thing. You don't need to drop 20 pounds to feel good. Sometimes just feeling less heavy, less puffy, is enough to lift your spirits. That's what turmeric gave me. A small shift that made a big difference. And that's why I'm sticking with it. Number 6, less craving for sweets. I've always had a sweet tooth, especially in the evenings, right after dinner, like clockwork. I'd find myself poking around the kitchen, looking for a little piece of chocolate or something sugary to finish the meal. It wasn't hunger. It was a habit. And to be honest, it was hard to fight. Even knowing what sugar does to my blood sugar, I'd often give in. But about a week into adding turmeric to my routine, something strange happened. One night, I realized I didn't go looking for sweets. It was like that little voice in my head had gone quiet. I didn't even miss it. And I thought, what's going on here? At first, I brushed it off. Maybe I was just tired that day. But the next night, same thing. And the next, I was finishing dinner and not even thinking about dessert. No cookie cravings, no need for that spoon of ice cream, no urge to sneak into the pantry. That was new for me. I wasn't trying to be good. I wasn't forcing anything. I just didn't feel that pull. It was like my body didn't need sugar the same way anymore. That, to me, felt like a gift. Because when you're used to losing that battle every night, even a small win feels like freedom. I started to wonder why it was happening. I don't pretend to know all the answers. I'm not a doctor. But I do know how my body feels. Before, I used to feel a bit off after eating. Like I needed a little sugar to feel normal again. But after taking turmeric for a while, those swings started to settle. I wasn't crashing after meals. My energy stayed more level. And without those dips, I didn't feel like reaching for sweets to prop me back up. It's like my body stopped yelling for sugar and started whispering, "We're okay." That quiet was something I didn't know I'd been missing. Even my family noticed. My daughter teased me the other night. "You haven't touched the ice cream in a week. Are you feeling all right?" And she was right. I hadn't even opened the freezer. For someone like me, that's saying something. It wasn't about willpower or trying to be healthier. It was just natural, like the craving itself had softened. That alone made a huge difference. Because once the craving loses its grip, everything else feels easier. I could enjoy dinner, feel full, and just move on with my evening. No internal fight. No guilt. Just peace. Now, when I think back on how those cravings used to control me, it almost feels like another life. I don't avoid sweets completely. If there's cake at a birthday, I'll enjoy a slice. But now it's a treat, not a routine. And that shift came without struggle. Just from adding turmeric to my mornings. I never expected it to help with sugar cravings. But somehow, it did. And the relief that comes from not needing sugar to feel okay, that's something I wish I'd found years ago. It's like taking back a little bit of control, one evening at a time. Number 5, better sleep or a calmer feeling. I never used to sleep straight through the night. For years, I'd wake up around 3 or 4 a.m., sometimes from joint pain, sometimes just from my mind racing. I'd toss and turn, stare at the ceiling, then eventually get up and wander around the house until sunrise. I got used to living tired. I thought it was just part of getting older. But something changed after I started taking turmeric. It wasn't instant, but after about 10 days, I realized I was waking up later and sleeping deeper. One morning, I opened my eyes and saw the sun already up. I couldn't believe I had slept all the way through. At first, I thought maybe I was just more tired than usual. But then it happened again. And again, the pattern became clear. I was falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. My wife even mentioned it. "You didn't snore or toss around last night," she said. I started to feel more rested in the morning. Not like I had run a marathon, but like my body had actually rested. That was new for me. I wasn't dragging myself to the kitchen for coffee anymore. I felt more grounded, like my body had finally found some quiet at night. It's hard to explain, but there was also this calmness I started to notice during the day. Things that used to make me tense, like a long grocery line or my internet cutting out, didn't bother me as much. I wasn't walking around with that nervous tension in my chest. I didn't feel so on edge. I don't know if it was the better sleep helping my mood or if turmeric was doing something else, but the difference was real. I felt more relaxed in my body, and that relaxed my mind too. It was like someone had turned the volume down on everything. I've always believed that good sleep is worth more than gold, especially as we age. But I had kind of given up on it, to be honest. I thought poor sleep was just part of the deal. That's why this shift meant so much to me. Falling asleep without a fight. Staying asleep without waking up sore. Waking up without that foggy head. I wasn't trying to fix my sleep. I just added turmeric to my breakfast. And a few days later, my night started feeling different. That quiet peace I used to long for, It slowly started returning, one night at a time. Now, I actually look forward to bedtime. I don't dread the tossing and turning or the ache in my back. I slip into bed, turn off the light, and let my body relax. I know I might still have the occasional restless night. Life is life, but it's no longer the norm, and that makes a big difference. Feeling more rested helps with everything: my focus, my mood, even my appetite. Turmeric didn't knock me out or act like a sleeping pill. It just brought balance. And when your nights feel better, your days do too. I wouldn't trade that calm for anything. Number 4, reduction of joint pain or inflammation. For the past few years, my knees have been my biggest complaint. Climbing stairs felt like hauling bricks, and getting out of bed came with this familiar ache in my hips. I used to joke that my joints had a calendar of their own. They always knew when rain was coming. I tried stretching, creams, even warm baths every evening. Some days were better. Others were just painful. But something unexpected happened after I started using turmeric. I wasn't even thinking about my joints, but one morning I realized I had gone up the stairs without grabbing the railing. That stopped me in my tracks. It wasn't just one day either. Over the next week, I started noticing how my movements felt easier. My knees weren't screaming when I bent down to pick something up. My hands, which usually felt stiff in the mornings, were opening more freely. The constant pressure in my lower back, it eased up. I didn't change my routine. Still the same walks, same diet, same housework. But my body felt less angry. That's the only way I can describe it. Like the fire inside my joints had cooled down a little. That small relief made a big difference in my day. You know that feeling when you go to tie your shoes and your body resists you? That was my norm. I'd grunt, shift around, brace myself. But one afternoon I bent forward without thinking, and I didn't feel that pull. It actually surprised me. I sat there for a moment, smiling. It wasn't a miracle. The pain didn't vanish completely. But something had definitely changed. The stiffness was less. The discomfort wasn't as sharp. It felt manageable, even forgettable. For someone who lived checking every movement before making it, that kind of change is priceless. I told a friend about it. He's the same age, also diabetic. And he said, "You sure it's not just a good week?" I get it. I was skeptical too, but it kept going. Week 2, then week 3, the ease stayed with me. That's when I started paying closer attention. I noticed I was standing longer while cooking. I wasn't shifting around in my chair every 10 minutes. My joints were quieter, and I was more present. Less distracted by pain means more energy for life. More focus for small joys, reading, laughing, working in the yard. That's not small. That's everything. Now, every time I walk down the porch steps without wincing, I feel grateful. It's not about becoming young again. It's about living with less resistance. Turmeric didn't give me a new body. It helped the one I have feel a bit more livable. And that's more than I expected. I'm not chasing perfection, just comfort. Being able to move without thinking about pain is something I had started to forget, but slowly it's coming back. Step by step, ache by ache, my body is remembering ease. And I'm holding on to that feeling for as long as I can. Number 3, better digestion and less bloating. For years, I lived with a tight, heavy feeling in my stomach after meals. It didn't matter what I ate, healthy or not. I'd often end up sitting back, unbuttoning my pants just to feel relief. Some nights, I felt like I had swallowed a balloon. I'd try to walk it off, sip some tea, even lay flat on the floor, hoping the pressure would ease. But nothing really worked. When I started taking turmeric, digestion wasn't even on my radar. But one night after dinner, I realized something unusual: no tight belly. I felt light. That moment stuck with me. A few days later, I noticed it again. No burping, no heaviness, no need to rub my stomach after eating. I finished a full plate and still felt comfortable enough to stand up and wash the dishes right after. That never happened before. I used to sit on the couch, waiting for the bloating to pass. But now my stomach felt settled. I wasn't puffed up. I didn't feel like I needed to lie down. That feeling of being stuffed wasn't showing up as often. And I was eating the same meals, same beans, same bread, same chicken. So what changed? I think turmeric helped my gut calm down. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you what I felt. It was like the irritation inside had quieted. My stomach wasn't reacting the way it used to. I didn't feel tight in my belt after lunch. I didn't dread meals. That little voice saying, "You're going to regret eating this," got quieter. For someone like me, that's a big shift. I used to plan my day around my digestion, what to eat, when, and how much I'd pay for it later. But now I feel more free. I can enjoy food without fear. One morning, I even noticed my belly looked flatter, not skinnier, just less bloated. It didn't feel like it was sticking out like it usually did. I caught my reflection and did a double take. The jeans I usually wear felt more comfortable. I wasn't tugging at the waistband, trying to make room. That feeling, that lightness, stayed with me. It gave me more energy, too. When your stomach feels calm, your whole body follows. I wasn't dragging after meals. I didn't need a nap just because I had lunch. That change made my afternoons more enjoyable. Now, I don't think twice before eating. I still eat real food, rice, meat, vegetables, but my body seems to handle it better. I no longer walk away from the table with regret. That pressure in my belly that used to steal my joy after meals, it's not running the show anymore. Turmeric gave me a kind of balance I didn't know I was missing. It's not about having a perfect gut. It's about feeling comfortable in your own body, even after dinner. And for me, that comfort has changed the way I experience my whole day. Number 2, more energy and less fatigue. Before turmeric, I used to feel like I was walking through mud, not just in the mornings, but all day. I'd get up, pour my coffee, and still feel like I hadn't slept. Some days, just folding laundry or going to the store left me drained. My legs felt heavy, like I was pulling my own weight uphill. I thought that was just part of being 63 and diabetic. But about a week into taking turmeric, I started to notice something odd. I wasn't crashing in the afternoons anymore. I was still doing my usual chores, but somehow I had more fuel in the tank. The change was so subtle at first, I almost missed it. One morning, I cleaned the kitchen, swept the porch, and still had the energy to walk around the block. Normally, that would have wiped me out, but I felt steady. Not hyper, not jittery, just capable. That alone made me pause. I remember standing in the driveway thinking, wait, I'm not tired. That hadn't happened in a long time. I wasn't guzzling more coffee or eating more. I just felt more awake, not in my head, but in my whole body, like the fog had lifted a bit. It wasn't about doing more. It was about feeling better doing what I already do. Before turmeric, even small tasks felt like climbing a hill with a backpack. Now, those same things feel more doable. I still take breaks. I'm not trying to run a marathon, but I don't crash at 2 p.m. like I used to. I don't need to lie down just because I took out the trash. That quiet kind of strength is what I notice. I didn't even know how tired I'd been until I wasn't anymore. That's the kind of tired we get used to, and that's what turmeric started to undo. My wife noticed it too. "You're not as grumpy in the morning," she said, half joking. But she was right. When your body feels sluggish, your mood follows. And when your body has energy again, even a little, your day just flows better. I was having conversations without zoning out, standing in line without shifting from one foot to the other. I was still the same me, but somehow more present. It's like my battery was holding a charge again. And when you're over 60, you really learn to value every bit of energy you get. Now, when I wake up, I don't dread the day ahead. I still take things slow, but I feel like my body is more cooperative. I don't feel like I'm dragging it along behind me. That's a quiet kind of joy, when your body works with you instead of against you. I won't claim turmeric turned me into a superhero, but it gave me something better: steadiness. And with steadiness comes confidence. Confidence to move, to plan, to live. And for me, that's worth more than anything else I've tried in years. Number 1, lower blood sugar. This was the first thing I noticed when I started taking turmeric. I check my blood sugar every morning before breakfast. It's a habit I've kept for years. Most days, It used to sit around 160, sometimes higher if I had a rough night. I've tried adjusting my meals, my walking routine, even cutting back on portions, but always hovered there. Then, about 2 weeks into my turmeric habit, I checked my number like usual, and it read 123. I stared at the screen for a moment, confused. I thought I had made a mistake. So I checked again. Still 123. That morning stayed with me, but I didn't jump to conclusions. I figured it could be a one-time fluke. But the next day, 119, then 125, then 118. The numbers were lower and staying lower. I hadn't changed my medication. I hadn't started any new diet. The only new thing I'd added was a teaspoon of turmeric each morning. I didn't expect that to have such a direct effect. But there it was, and it wasn't just the numbers. I started to feel the difference. My head wasn't foggy. I wasn't dragging my feet before breakfast. My body felt calmer, more stable. That kind of stability is gold when you're diabetic. When your sugar jumps up and down, everything feels harder. Your mood, your appetite, your energy. But after turmeric, it felt like my body had found a rhythm again. I didn't get that shaky, sweaty feeling between meals. I didn't feel the need to snack constantly. I felt steady, like my body wasn't fighting itself every hour. It's hard to explain unless you've lived it, but those quiet improvements mean everything. They let you live your day without that constant worry in the back of your mind. I talked to my doctor during a checkup and mentioned the turmeric. He raised an eyebrow, but didn't dismiss it. He said, "If it's helping and you're feeling better, keep it up." That was all the confirmation I needed. I'm not saying it's a cure. I still check my sugar daily. I still take my meds. But turmeric gave me a tool I didn't know I had. It made me feel like I was part of the solution, not just watching numbers and waiting. That kind of change is empowering. And it motivated me to stay consistent, to keep taking care of myself. Now, every time I prick my finger and see a better number, I feel hopeful. It's not about chasing perfection. It's about progress. Seeing my blood sugar drop even a little naturally gave me confidence again. It reminded me that my body can still respond, still improve. I used to feel like diabetes had all the power. But now, I feel like I've got a bit of that power back. All because of something as simple as turmeric in my oatmeal. That's why I keep going. Because sometimes the smallest habits make the biggest difference. If someone had told me a few months ago that a simple yellow spice could help me feel lighter, more rested, and more in control of my blood sugar, I probably would have smiled politely and changed the subject. But now, I speak from experience. I didn't make any drastic changes. I didn't follow a strict plan. I just added a small spoon of turmeric to my breakfast every day and paid attention to what my body told me. What I discovered wasn't just about turmeric. It was about how even at 63, my body still responds, still adapts, still heals. I've learned that we don't need to chase big miracles. Sometimes it's the smallest, quietest shifts that change our lives the most. Feeling less tired, sleeping better, moving without pain, resisting cravings without a fight. That's the kind of change that gives you your life back, one day at a time. And it reminded me that I'm not too old to feel good again. That it's not too late to find something that works with my body, not against it. That's a powerful thing to rediscover in your 60s. Of course, every body is different. What worked for me may not work for everyone. If you're thinking about trying turmeric or making any changes to your diet, I always recommend speaking with a healthcare professional you trust, especially if you're on medications or managing a condition like diabetes. We each carry a different history in our bodies, and that deserves care and respect. It's not about rushing. It's about learning what supports you personally in your stage of life. But I will say this, don't underestimate the quiet power of simple things. I did for too long. And once I opened that door, a new version of myself began to show up. Not perfect, not younger, just more alive. And I think that's something we all deserve. Whether you try turmeric or something else entirely, stay curious. Stay hopeful. Your body might still surprise you. If this story helped you or gave you something to think about, go ahead and subscribe. I'll be sharing more tips, personal stories, and things that are working for folks like us, over 60 and still full of fight. because this journey isn't over. Not even close.